Welcome to Inside the Studio with Greg Wurth, and in this episode I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite picks from NAMM 2018. This was a really cool year for NAMM because they did a new layout where they tried to cater to the manufacturers, placing like pro audio and guitar and drums and kind of put them in their relevant spaces so that it was a little, a better experience for the manufacturers and the attendees. And from what I can tell, I think everybody was really happy overall, and I'm sure next year will be even that much better. If you didn't get to make it, I'm sure you've seen a bunch of posts online. Everybody's got their first video or whatever to show you what's there. I felt like, for me, I wanted to just let it settle in and kind of think about what I saw and figure out what I thought were the best things. And so I narrowed it down to my top 10, and really there's so much more than that, but just for the sake of trying to keep it condensed, I wanted to pick 10. And I'm sure there's stuff on there that you guys think should have been on the list, and I'm interested to see what you think, and just send me an email or make a comment and let me know. But without further ado, let's start with number 10, which is Tree Audio's 3 in the Tree desktop channel strip. It's got 3 500 series slots, a module that has VU and peak metering, selectable linear fader, and a 24 position step pot, headphone output, and it has individual bypass switches for all 3 modules. It includes the inward connections, VF600 op amps, Cinemag transformers, and a large external power supply. Very cool. All right, moving on. Number 9, Eventide came out with an H9000. It's a rack mount multi-effect processor with 4 quad-core ARM processors, 16 DSP engines, 8 channels of analog I/O, and 16 channels of bi-directional audio over USB. This thing is a powerhouse. I can't wait to check it out in the studio. All right, next, number 8. Lynx Studio Technology came out with a new preamp module for their Aurora N series. It's called the LM Pre 4. It's a 4-channel preamp module with a transformerless design that features mic, line, and high Z inputs. It's got up to 68.6 dB of gain, and the aim is to be extremely transparent with very low noise. You can install a total of 2 modules, giving you up to 8 channels of mic preamps per 1 rack space unit. Up next, number 7. It's the Line 6 HX Effects. It's got all the same effects from the famous Helix floorboard processor in a smaller package, which is basically catering to those that don't need the amp modeling. It features 8 capacitive touch foot switches with scribble strip displays and tons of I/O, allowing for complex signal chains. It also allows you to utilize snapshots and amp switching just like the Helix. Next up is the Fix Audio Designs Blender. The blender allows mixing between the wet and dry signal from your outboard equipment, which is extremely useful in situations where the equipment doesn't have a built-in parallel processing feature. This unit has a polarity and cut switch for both the wet and dry signal, as well as the output level. Very cool device by Paul Wolf. Go check that one out. Next up is Electrodyne. They came out with a new EQ called the 511B. It's a 2-band inductor EQ that features 12 shelving and peaking frequencies per band, with a wide and narrow peak button for a total of 37 EQ positions. The 31 position gain pot gives you approximately half dB steps in each position. Very, very cool. Number 4 is Avedis Audio's TransDrive, which is basically a saturation box with transformers in it, and allows you to tweak different settings to get different harmonic distortions happening. And it's really dependent on the level going into it. And he's got a bunch of different settings on there that really help you adjust the saturation. And, I had a long talk with him the other day, and he was explaining all this stuff that was way over my head, but he recognizes that there's a lot of people that have these kind of boxes that are their secret weapons, but they don't really understand how it's wired, even down to the fact of, is the input in phase with the output? And a lot of people don't know. And basically this box is the answer to that, to just kind of give you all the possibilities that you can have with wiring a transformer. So check that one out. Number 3, very cool box from Universal Audio called the Aux. It's a reactive amp attenuator with speaker modeling. So essentially you put this in between your guitar amp and speaker with an attenuator, which allows you to enjoy the amp sweet spot at any level, which is great because sometimes, you got an old Marshall amp or a Fender or something that doesn't have a master fader. So you need to crank the gain and it has to have a certain level to get that sweet spot. And this allows you to harness that tone and then back down the volume so that you don't kill your neighbors or annoy them. Additionally, there's an app that gives you access to very amazing microphone and cabinet emulations, as well as various outboard emulations that give you a full studio experience. We had the privilege of having one of the first ones ever in a beta test a couple months ago, and we've been using it ever since, and it's fantastic. If you've used UAD's plugins at all, this is not far from that. It's super high quality, what you come to expect from those guys. All right, number 2, WesAudio Hyperion. It's a 500 series 4-band EQ that's capable of stereo, dual mono, or mid-side functionality, complete with a high-pass filter, saturation circuit, and digital recall over USB. The unit can be controlled from the hardware itself or the plugin. The plugin is laid out extremely well, giving you full control over the more complex functions such as mid-side mode. Very cool, you gotta check this one out. Okay, number 1. This is my absolute favorite one from the NAMM show 2018. I mean, this is something that I've been waiting for forever, and I think a lot of people would agree that they thought of this a long time ago, but no one ever really made one that made sense. And my buddy Darren at Flock Audio made the patch. It's a 64-point digitally controlled analog patch bay. It features 32 channels of 48-volt phantom power, and it allows you to create, store, and recall complex recording or mix routings in seconds. The unit is controlled by a cleverly designed software app that lets you effortlessly create these routings, allowing you to keep your focus on your project rather than fiddling with dozens of tiny patch cables. Well, that's it for my top 10 from the NAMM show 2018. I hope you enjoyed it, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel and the newsletter on my website, and I'll check you out next time.